Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, and he is Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay, we are back again. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good, man. It's another day toward football season and another recruit commit, so it's all is good in my world.
Yes, today Jay and I will be breaking down the junior highlight tape of Isaiah Mozee, a four-star receiver out of Lee's Summit North High School in the Kansas City area. And I'm really excited about this one, Jay. I know you really like him. But before we get into Isaiah's highlight tape here, I wanted to ask you a question because right now, in August, it's mid-August. It's about 3 weeks until the season opener, Nebraska season opener against UTEP. Jay, when you're playing at Nebraska, when you're a black shirt, when this point of fall camp hit, what's
Yeah.
like the mindset with your players? Are you tired of practicing against your own teammates? Is it just like
Yeah.
a drag with fall camp? Just give me the lowdown. What was it like at this point in fall camp?
I think I think you're tired of seeing the same guys, hitting the same guys. We used to get this like little kind of like sweat brown spot right here.
Yeah.
So you just on edge, you're a little frustrated because it's the middle part of camp where you could see, okay, we're only 3 weeks away from the season, and little do you know, at that point in time, there was a time where you're saying we were 6 months away from the season. Now you're 3 weeks away from the game, and so you can see the end and the payoff, which is the game. But then also, there's a lot of more work to do as far as practices go. So yeah, things get a little chippy. You're a little bit, your wires are you're a little short and a little snappy, and then sometimes you might get into, some scuffs at practice. And sometimes,
Hmm.
it'd be pre-planned, premeditated, just to kind of bring the energy up. But then some are just because you're just sick of hitting the same guys and they're sick of hitting you and everything. Even the smallest things, like I don't like that you wear the same shirt 2 days in a row or in a week or something like that. Then so you get a little snippy. But I think one of the things I would tell guys is, especially when you've been, through it, is like you always try to find something to get better at. Whether it's, maybe, if we were in half pads, I want to be really, really good with strong hands. I want to be, superior in my, checks as far as the defense. And then I also want to trick myself into, always being on point, forcing yourself to be engaged. And then therefore, when get to the point in this practice and you don't take the mindset of getting through practice, but getting better at something, right? Going to practice to get better. The days don't seem as long and you feel like you accomplished something, because number one, the most important, you're being a good teammate by going out there and giving it your all.
Excellent stuff as always. Yeah, I always wondered about that when this time of fall camp comes around, and of course we see the chippiness, we see the scuffles, especially with the Big Red preview a week ago on Saturday in Memorial Stadium. A lot of fans came out to watch the Huskers practice, and I think it was Tyler Knock, the instigator for one of those
Yeah.
scuffles on the field. You have to like that from the offensive lineman, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, the offense. I mean, I think he's a player that's kind of, came in last year. I think he came from Utah.
Yep.
Maybe took him a little while to obviously, get his,
Hmm.
feet, fully, planted on the ground. And, from just my, just I guess naked eye is like even in the spring, number one, his body looks different. So you got to give him credit and Coach Corey credit as far as, they must, came up with a plan for him to be leaner, bigger, faster, stronger. So he looks that. So I think that's where the confidence comes from. And it looks like he's, again, he's having a good camp, had a good spring. And it doesn't matter what unit you're on, you can always get it
Hmm.
started. And so I like it. I like it that he's out there, trying to prove himself. And it's all clean and look, it's a collision sport. So you're gonna get
Hmm.
tired of running into, in this case, offensive lineman, or in his case, maybe run into a linebacker defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go from an offensive line talk to a skill position in Isaiah Mozee. So Jay, just a little background info before we get into Isaiah's junior year highlights over at Lee Summit North High School. He was an Oregon commit. In
Yeah.
April, Nebraska was on him, but Oregon got the first verbal commitment. And Isaiah stayed with the Ducks for about 4 months up until August 9th when he officially flipped his verbal commitment, and now he is in the Huskers 2025 class as a verbal commitment. And you have to just think a big part of Nebraska gaining his verbal commitment is his father, Jamar Mozee, is a senior football
Yeah.
assistant in Matt Rule's program right now. So Jamar was a longtime head coach at Lee Summit North,
Right.
almost 10 years, I believe. And back in April, Jamar took a off-field analyst role, I think something like that, for Gus
Yeah.
Malzahn at UCF. That didn't last long because Matt Rule hired him away in July,
Sure.
and now all the Moseys are in Lincoln right now, or I guess Isaiah is still going to be playing his senior year over in Kansas City, obviously. But yeah, if his commitment sticks, which we all think it will, it's just going to be a big time addition in the wide receiver room, Garrett McGuire's receiver room, because Isaiah Mozee, I mean, there's a reason why Oregon was so interested in him in the first place. 6'1", 185 pounds. And I really think he fits, just watching, everybody at home is going to be seeing this as well. He fits the versatility aspect that I think Matt Rule really looks for in his skill guys.
Right.
Isaiah played some outside receiver. He bumped down to the slot. They even motioned him into the backfield, and he played a little running back, took some handoffs back there. So he just seems like a Matt Rule guy, a Marcus
Yeah.
Satterfield guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. He's number one. He's listed at 6'1", 185. He's legit 6'1", 185. He plays big, and so in the Big Ten, you got to be able to play big. And you're going
Mm-hmm.
to see it in his highlights. Yeah, it's great that Oregon, was on him. Same with Nebraska, and obviously his dad, coming over
Mm-hmm.
in his position, definitely, obviously tilted towards Nebraska was a big factor. But
Sure.
I think if he was really set and secure in Oregon, I think that he would have probably stayed. I mean, I can't speak for him, but look, I don't think his dad was like, "Hey, you got to come here or else." I think the momentum from the time that he committed to Oregon to now, and then with his dad coming back, Matt
Mm-hmm.
Rule, and I think that probably really opened his eyes, and obviously he chose to come here, and we're happy for it. And I think also with his dad being a well-established figure and coach in that Kansas City Lee Summit, and Lee Summit has put out a ton of players year in and year out, will help them have a hotbed, which is
Mm-hmm.
easily within that 500-mile radius that you can start plucking, players, out of their top players from the likes of Kansas State, from
Mm-hmm.
Missouri, Oklahoma used to come in there, and all those other teams. I think it bodes well for Nebraska on every front.
Absolutely. And just some stats here before we get into the plays. So last fall, as a junior, Isaiah Mozee caught 74 catches for 1,033 yards and 12 touchdowns. The year before that, as a sophomore, 71 catches, 898 yards, 12 touchdowns. And then even as a freshman, he chipped in there with the varsity, 28 catches, 407 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So he's been productive for his entire high school career. And I assume it's
Right.
just going to be doing the same thing over again his senior year. So first thing I wanted to kind of show you here is just the screen game, the receiver screen game. They obviously
Right.
really liked Isaiah in that position over at Lee Summit North. And when I watch him run, he's a very sturdy runner. Like I was talking to you before, he runs through arm tackles very easily. And like you said, his size, he's got good size. He kind of runs like a running back in the open field, and his ability to get the yards after catch is really impressive. And I think he kind of displayed that all over the place his junior year on these receiver screens.
This is a staple of any offense in this day and age, and the way he runs that, like he catches it with his hands. And this is kind of where you look at also project, his punt return ability. And you see the acceleration here, which is obviously important. You make guys miss, and then you're like when anytime you can get somebody that puts it in the end zone is good. But look how he's able to not only read the blocks, right?
Yeah.
Once he receives or once he catches the ball, but then also look how he sets up the blocks. I mean, these plays are made to get right up those numbers, and then you got to make your own money after that, right? Makes the guy miss, gets
Mm-hmm.
right up the numbers, right? Good block there by the outside receiver, and now once you hit the sideline, what do I say, Steve? You cock the hit back, strike up the band,
Mm-hmm.
it's touchdown, and so I like it. You got a little home run ability, but then also Coach Foley is probably looking at that as like, okay, I like a guy that can make guys miss in short areas of which we obviously call a
Mm-hmm.
phone booth. I like that he's able to make guys miss and then obviously take it to the house and then do what he's supposed to do after that, and that's obviously get the 6 points on the board.
That's got to take a lot of like body control and everything in those tight spaces, right? Can you just like speak about that a little bit more as we watch the second one where he takes another screen to the house here and just outruns some people and fends them off with a little bit of stiff arm here. Just hard to bring down, but also I think he's very in control of his body, right?
Yeah, I mean, body control is a big, a part of the thing when you're looking at prospects, right? It's got to
Mhm.
be a quality that you have to have, right? And that's going to allow you to have better balance. That's going to allow you to make 50-50 catches and allow you going to be sturdy when you do get contact. But what I like right here is he's able to contort his body, split him, cut back, again, get up the sideline, take it to the house. And so when you look at this right here, when I said he plays big right here, I like it right. Good. Number one, hands catcher, right?
Yep.
Number two,
Hmm.
gets his pad square. He's not even looking at the first defender. He set him up right there. And look how he just able to contort his body. Like he's physical with the stiff arm right there. Body control, which is balance, right? He gets up the sideline. He's looking at this guy coming in front of him because he's already got a stiff arm and he's set up in the next defender, right? And then he ends up splitting him. So you like the run after catch ability. You like the big play ability. And how do you get explosive, Steve? Well, I always say generally, obviously you can make guys miss. You want to either get up the sideline or up the hashes on offense, and he's able to do both right here. I like it. I like the run after the catch. The stiff arm is something is almost like the dead leg.
Hmm.
It will withstand the test of time. And I like it that he's already developed these run after catch moves.
We watched a couple of him from the slot. Let's go to the outside receiver now, where he's kind of all alone on an island against a corner. And look, I mean his footwork here, the angle that he moves, it just completely the corner loses him, and it's another house call.
Well, I mean, what you're doing, I mean, how do when you think about playing receiver, you got to be able to run good routes, right? Stops
Yeah.
on a dime, right? What do you do? There goes the stiff arm, right? Now he's looking at the farthest defender. He splits him again. I like a physical run after the catch, 5 or 6 more yards, but I like it, right? Look how he's able to drop his hips right here. He sold it a deep route, got him spinning, put him in the spin cycle, come back. Like that, he comes back to the ball for about a yard or two and catches it, secures it. Then he's looking at, okay, he's already thinking probably right now, I'm making this guy miss. And now he's trying to size up these next two defenders and he carries them for 5 or 6 yards. And so those are the things that I'm assuming that, obviously very appealing to Coach McGuire, Coach Rule, and obviously the offensive staff, the ability to catch the ball, be physical. I like that he plays big, right? Most receivers would run out of bounds and save himself. He's trying to get every yard after that because you never know if one guy misses a tackle, he could take this little, not little, but this play right here, turn it from like a 15 to 18 yard gain to a 60, 70 yard touchdown.
That is living dangerously, covering him one on one with the corner. Anyway, so back to the slot we go, and another just kind of a shallow crosser here. I really enjoy this route. I think it's something that Isaiah Nayer for Nebraska in the fall is going to get a lot of. But just getting him the ball and running away from guys. And again, I mentioned the body control, the yards after catch ability. He's just a strong runner that reminds me just a little bit of a running back out in the open field. And, I just really love this play from him and how he gets to the end zone.
Right here, what do you do? Catch it with your hands. I
Yeah.
like it that he's got it in the outside hand, right? Didn't even have to stiff arm him, right? He's able to break tackles. And obviously, right here, you could just fast forward because old
Yeah.
buddy isn't going to catch him. But I like it right here. A little bit of a sneaky under route right here. Reads the defense. He's reading the backside safety to see if he's in man because he knows he can run away from the defender that's covering him right here. See right here, see the mesh that he was able to do.
Yeah.
He almost had the defenders run into. That's a sneaky trick right here. Look, he takes it upfield, right? Because normally when guys run it, they're running at the level with as the at where the ref is, but he takes it up about a yard and a half. Why? Is because he wants to get in 23's face. 23 is going to try to get around him, and he's going to get in number six's face, which allows him to catch it with even more separation. So if you go back and look at the initial separation when he gets into the mesh route of the route right here, watch this right here. See how he takes it up a little bit higher
Yeah.
where the ref started. So that was at about the 34-yard line right there. That runs that defender that was trying to catch the boundary side crossing route into the guy that's trying to cover him, and it allows him to get more space and obviously creates yards after contact, and obviously it leads into a touchdown.
Really good stuff. And on those mesh plays, Jay, are they taught to kind of aim at the ref in the middle of the field? I don't know. I'm just wondering. 'Cause sometimes it kind of appears like that.
Well, I mean, it depends. Now, It depends if it's a linebacker and you want to run the linebackers against each other. But with this
Hmm.
negative split by that number, where that was single receiver on the backside, and you
Okay.
see two safeties high right here. Look at the two safeties. See
Yep.
how they're right in line with the ref. If
Yeah.
I was coaching, I would tell them, let's rub them off of where the initial ref alignment is, because that's the umpire. He's going to come up, but as he runs to that backside defender, see how he ran across 23's face?
Yeah.
Well, then what do you think 23 is going to do? He doesn't
Hmm.
want to be in a trail position. So he created a trail position for number 6, and number 6 doesn't have a chance to
Hmm.
make that tackle. Watch what happens. They almost ran them into each other. So you're using the defensive player's alignment against them, but you have to be a student of the game and obviously be coached well
Oh
to
yeah.
do so. And that it leads to a explosive play. And, everybody thinks explosive plays come from, like, Randy Moss or Calvin Johnson or Megatron running past each other. You have to know how to run routes, when to run routes, and who you're going against based on the coverage and personnel to create some space.
Yeah, you call him a student of the game, and I think you have to be a smart player to do what Isaiah Mozee does, which is sometimes you're asked to motion into the back of the field, into the backfield, take a handoff, be a running back, right? How
Yeah.
difficult is that for a high schooler?
Well, I mean, he's motioning back there. I mean, look, he's usually a receiver, whether he's a X or Y, or he gets in the slot.
Mhm.
But now you want to see this again. If I'm Coach Foley, I'm excited about this, right? Right. I mean, obviously the high school coach that he has is going to get the best player of the ball as many plays and many opportunities as possible. But I like this right here as a football player, that
Mhm.
he's able to read blocks. He's running. He's pretty physical. And let's
Mhm.
be honest, 6'1", 185 is high school running back size. But I like this right here to show his football player ability to play different positions. Obviously, he's going to be a receiver, but I like
Yeah.
it. They're showing the versatility. But look how he reads these blocks right here. This is how when you talk about running those bubble screens, I call them smoke screens. You call them now routes. You can call whatever you want. But he's able to set up his blocks right there. So he's got his offensive lineman looking good. Got one of his offensive linemen a pancake. The backside receiver is just getting in his face. Now he's able to be physical, break 2 or 3 tackles right here. Good
Yep.
balance. You talked about body control,
Oh yeah.
and I want to even talk about the strength, right? The
Hmm.
ability to obviously hold balance and hold your force. And so you turn a simple, you know, down around, pin block here, right? Just a simple outside zone with pin blocking, which is, from a defensive standpoint, you say, okay, it's a good player. You get, maybe 6 to 8 yards, right? You got white shirts everywhere.
Hmm.
He turns it into, a 55-yard touchdown, 55-yard carry. And number 11 already knows it already. I mean, look at the quarterback. After he handed it off, he
Yeah.
was already saying that. I think he thought it was going to be a first down, but he turns this into a touchdown. Now, all this right here is him. It's the ability
Yeah.
to set up blocks, break tackles, balance, body control, strength, and then the speed to take it to the house.
Excellent stuff. Jay, does he remind you of anybody? Maybe like on Nebraska's current roster, or anybody that just comes to mind?
Ooh,
Maybe
man, you
six
racked
foot.
my brain.
Yeah, I know,
Six
6 foot,
one, 6'1",
little over
185.
6 foot.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I think he's big.
Wandale, but Wandale is a lot
He's bigger.
shorter.
He's bigger than Wandell.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to think right now.
Yeah, I
I
put you
mean,
on the spot here.
he's sneaky fast.
Hmm.
So, I hate to compare him to like a Jamar Chase or something like that, but he has that type of body. I mean, Jamar Chase is bigger, obviously physically
Hmm.
bigger,
Hmm.
but I think Jamar Chase has that body control and
Yeah, that's
balance,
a good
and
point.
has the
Balance.
ability to do multiple things. As far as Nebraska, I don't think we don't, we haven't had a long list of receivers that was been able to do that, but I
That's
would say, um, was it Stanley Morgan that was here?
sure. Hmm.
Kind of like that, right? Stanley Morgan had good body control, physical. Stanley Morgan, obviously, when his last year was with Frost, was
Hmm.
a lot bigger. But I like that you were able to run those smoke screens with him. You saw Stanley
Yeah.
Morgan do that stuff. Stanley Morgan, I think, had
Hmm.
sneaky speed, had body control. He never got to return punts, but I would say probably in recent history, I would say Stanley Morgan, based on the body type, which I view him, to get to, but then
Hmm.
also how he initially does some stuff in the way his high school coaches has used him over the last couple of years as well.
Excellent stuff as always, Jay. So, yeah, Isaiah Mozee, 4-star wide receiver commit in Nebraska's 2025 class. Garrett McGuire has got a good one. Wait till they sign him in December. So, yeah, really, I always learn a lot, Jay, when we get together and break these things down. We'll do another one sometime soon. But thanks for catching up with me on this. This was pretty fun.
Yeah, man, they keep racking up
Yeah, they
commits, and
do.
then obviously the season's right around the corner, so
Hmm.
you'll be seeing a lot more of me. But good get. I mean, look, that receiver room. I mean, before we get off, a couple years ago, they're like, oh, there's no, we don't got any, or we don't have
Yeah.
any depth, right? Next thing you know, Matt Rose said, okay, listen, I'm gonna double down on that. We might have too many,
One
but I
off
know who's
season,
it.
it changed.
Yeah, I know, right? I think Garrett McGuire. It's like he's like he went from the guy that you like didn't have anybody in there per se. Now he's got everybody in there, so he's got I'm sure he's welcome to work. But hey, look, man, the more the merrier. The competition is thick, and the cream will rise to the top.
Can I ask you what you think of Janiran Bonner? Janiran Bonner, he moved back to receiver and they changed him last year from receiver to kind of a hybrid
Yeah.
offline tight end slash fullback, whatever you want to call it. But what are your thoughts on Janiran moving back to receiver and maybe potentially playing a lot out of the slot?
Well, I think that you could look at him a tight end, H back. I think he just kind of like a X factor type of receiver, right?
Hmm.
You think of Carter Nelson. Carter
Yeah.
Nelson's there. Who could
Hmm.
Carter Nelson learn from? Bonner.
Hmm.
Because Bonner's probably a little bit shorter, but obviously I
Yeah.
think maybe a little bit more physical because he played fullback in Nebraska as a true fullback.
Hmm.
I was just talking about this with somebody. If you want to, this is I'm biased because I had to deal with these guys, a lot in the league. I
Yeah.
feel if you want to get explosive overnight, you do it in the middle of the field in the hashes. Now, whether that's receivers attacking the middle or having the tight ends do it, and you need different body types.
Hmm.
So when you think of Nebraska, and this is just my opinion, right? When you think of Nebraska's tight end room slash, let's call those guys, you know, Joker or X factors, right? Yeah, Borkature, kind of a tight end. Lindenmeyer, tight end, but multiple jack of all trades. He can set the edge.
Hmm.
He can catch out of the backfield. He can play tight end. Then you have Fedoni, who's a mix of those two. Then you put Bonner and then Nelson. So this is my opinion. It helps the young quarterbacks be more efficient. They're different body types, and they're bigger than majority of the linebackers that are playing today. They can be physical, and they all have enough speed to break tackles and be explosive. So as far as Bonner and Nelson, I like it, and I think the time at tight end, slash fullback H back
Hmm.
will help Bonner and Nelson because Nelson, I'm assuming, is going to replicate and learn from Bonner and play alongside of him.
Hmm.
Be a better player, and also it's all about personnel. You get Bonner or Nelson or all the guys I mentioned before matched up against one of those little pipsqueak DBs. They
Hmm.
got to make money. Ideally, also, you get those guys in the slot as receivers. I like the chances of blocking with those. I call them smoke screens. You can call them now routes. The screen game and all that. I think it just adds more variety, and you got more players and you got more options.
I wish football started tomorrow. I don't know about you, Jay, but I need this stuff to happen right now.
It,
I'm tired of talking about it. I'm ready to watch some stuff and start talking about it as well. So, Jay Foreman, thank you again as always. Really appreciate it. And for Steve Marik, he's Jay Foreman. That was the Black Shirt Breakdown, Isaiah Mozee style. We'll catch y'all later.